Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today we have an episode of Loadout for you, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you would like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode. Now before I get into today's top comment, just want to let you guys know that the next major patch for Battlefield 1 is coming out tomorrow. It's going to have the weapons 2.0 tweak, or the time to kill 2.0 tweak in there. A major shift for the way that weapons are balanced in Battlefield 1. It's going to be exciting. I'm going to be covering and playing it tomorrow, probably doing a bunch of live streaming too. So if you want to drop by the Twitch channel, that would be cool. Anyway, let's get into Loadout and talk about today's setup. The top comment comes from Ruid Muhammad, who says, Loadout, the 189th Izmail Regiment Medic/Gunner. For primary, we'll be using the Fedorov Avtomat with the secondary Nagant revolver. Gadget 1 is the bandage pouch, Gadget 2 is the medical syringe, explosive, standard Russian, grenade, and then we'll be using the Cossack dagger as our melee weapon. He's also got a bit of backstory here. In the summer of 1916, your company, under the 189th Izmail, I'm super pronouncing that wrong, I'm sure, regiment, was chosen to be equipped with 8 Fedorov Avtomats. After intensive tactical training revolving around the use of this new weapon, you, your ammo-bearing friend, and the rest of your company is deployed to the Romanian front in early 1917. Charge into the battlefield with the predecessor of all modern assault rifles. Now, I definitely appreciate the awesome setup for this loadout. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to complement it with thematic gameplay on Russian maps, as there were no servers available during the time of this recording, but we still do get the rest of the loadout right, and it's fun. I like the Avtomat. To me, this is probably one of the most important DLC weapons that Battlefield 1 has received, as it allows you to play the medic in a way that you wouldn't have been able to play before. This is the first fully automatic option for the medic class, making it very powerful and easy to use in close quarter combat, backing up your troops pushing on the front lines. Before, with the semi-automatic rifles, you're usually forced to stay a little bit further back in the back lines, unless you were really good with one of the heavy-hitting semi-autos for close quarter combat, but those were always a bit trickier. This is a more consistent weapon, it's easier to play with, easier for the average player, and I'm really enjoying it. It again allows me to play the medic class in a more aggressive way as well. I can actually be on the front lines taking people down, multiple people down, without having to worry about hitting every single little shot with a semi-auto rifle. It's super good, and I'm very curious to see how this rifle holds up in the next TTK patch. It might not see a big change at all. In fact, it's quite effective as it is now, but we'll have to wait and see how it fares once the machine guns and all the other weapons seem to get generally a universal upgrade. And as much as I'm not a huge fan of the Cape Helles map, I really did enjoy working my way through the trenches here, because the trenches allowed me to really sort of confine my combat. I didn't have to worry about snipers picking me off from 300 meters away. I didn't have to worry too much about airburst mortars or planes. I was protected in the trench, and I could go after one infantry after the next, and as you can see, it allowed me to really chew through quite a few enemies, since I wasn't going 2v1, 3v1 chaotic scenarios. And as much of a beast as this weapon is, it's really more of a beast within the medic class. Comparing it to the assault weapons, it's really going to be more on par or at a loss once you're going up against things like the Automatico or the machine pistol, which is incredibly powerful in close quarters. This is good in close quarters, but it's also decent at close medium range. Now, it's not the only medic rifle capable of massive damage in close quarter combat. The auto-loading extended especially can deal quite a bit of damage in close quarters, and it's got a decent mag capacity as well, but that is a semi-auto rifle. It requires a little bit more skill to use effectively. It is a fun weapon to use, but just to keep in mind that you're going to need to spam that semi-auto rifle basically as fast as it possibly can be spammed in order to achieve a slightly higher damage per second ratio than the Avtomat, where the Avtomat is just hold mouse button 1, aim down sights, and look at your enemy. You don't also have to incorporate the massive amount of spam clicking in there to make the weapon effective. Now, there are two variations of the Avtomat. We have the optical version and then the trench version. The only difference between these two weapons is that the trench version has better hipfire and the optical version has better ADS accuracy. Personally, I like the trench version a little bit better. I really don't like the optics in Battlefield 1. They just kind of drive me crazy. There's a little bit too much optic sway for me. And so I just prefer the trench version, though I might play around with the optical version from time to time just to sort of remind myself of whether or not I like it. If you aim down sight a lot, then on paper, the optical variant should be the go-to choice, but in practice, I just end up enjoying the trench more. Now, this weapon is mostly effective at medium to close range engagements. That's the action that you're going to see most of the time. Sometimes I need to extend the effective range of this weapon, and you can tap fire at those further ranges. The damage drop off goes down to 19 per shot, so you need to land quite a few hits at those further ranges to actually get a kill, but it is worthwhile doing in specific scenarios. Most of the time though, you're going to want to use this as a large room clearing weapon or a close to medium range combat weapon for clearing out structures. If you're out in the big open area, lots of open ground and open fields, you might consider going with something a bit more accurate at long range. Now, Ballroom Blitz can be an absolutely excellent map to use this weapon on. Of course, if you are playing on some of the bigger wide open areas of the map and you seem to be choke pointed over there and you just can't get out of them, you may want to consider switching it up to something longer range. But for the most part, running around the palace and going to the capture points near the palace are always going to be effective options. And here I got that jumpy camera bug, which is always nice, but X Factor actually told me how to fix it, where you can just get on a stationary mounted turret and that'll actually get rid of the jumpy bug. So just a nice little tip there if any of you guys get this bug often. Now, before the Avtomat came out, the medic class was certainly one of my least played classes. It had fallen behind in the ranking up process. I wasn't as interested in using it simply because I didn't enjoy the semi-automatic weapons offered quite so much. Sometimes it was fun to use them at medium long range engagements, but beyond that I just never felt like I was at an advantage with the medic class, and I mostly enjoy the firefight aspect of Battlefield 1, so why would I pick a class that seems to get outshot in most engagement situations? So I just didn't really run the medic much, but now that the Avtomat is out, I find myself playing the medic a lot more when I want to be an aggressive medic that can revive my teammates, go into close quarter combat, keep my team alive, and really push on to the objective. I almost always pick the Avtomat. Plus, if you want to generate a ton of points, the medic class is one of the best classes to do that. Medic and support. Support, you throw down ammo to everyone, you get tons of points. Medic, you throw out heals to injured teammates and revive them. You can get a ton of points, especially if you're running around with a squad that's on point. You get extra points for healing your squad members and reviving them. An easy way to get on top of the scoreboard if you can mix together objective play, medic play, and killing your enemies with the somewhat powerful Avtomat. It can be an absolutely excellent way to get on top of that scoreboard. Now you can see when I'm running around objectives like D point, I'm really not trying to engage people at longer range. I'm using the cover, making them getting close to me, where this weapon becomes much more effective. You have to play intelligent with whatever weapon you have, and this gun requires me to close the distance. There's many ways to do that. Sometimes you just need to wait for your opponents to get a little closer, and then when they're at that optimal range, that's when you engage. Your biggest threat is pretty much always going to be assault players in close quarter combat. Most assault weapons will still out damage you. Use your mobility, and especially if you're using the trench variant of this, use a lot of hip fire in close quarters, side strafe, try and make them miss their shots. That's how you're going to win those firefights against them. Pre-fire, you have a decent amount of ammo and a slow rate of fire, so you can sustain fire for usually longer than the assault class can, so take advantage of that. As for the rest of this loadout, the only thing I don't really like in it is the Nagant revolver, simply because the reload time on it is absolutely insane. If you don't get your kill, you're not reloading that weapon. You may as well just switch back to your primary and try and reload that one, or go to your melee weapon. Don't like the Nagant, but everything else is a solid pick. Anyway, I'm fairly confident that the Avtomat is going to retain its very effective role for the medic class even after the next major weapons patch, but you can always stay tuned to my channel tomorrow to find out for sure which guns have changed the most, how the gameplay is going to change because of the new patch, and you can even tune into my Twitch stream to watch me live play some of that tomorrow. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave your comments down below for next week's episode, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.